Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you are. Welcome. Um, this is a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'm thanking God every day that I get up to see a new day, get to see a new sun. I'm happy, I'm healthy, I am, I'm wonderful, and all those good things. Um, I figured what I would talk about today. I was thinking. I'm out here in Denver, Colorado, at the Warner Terminal, and I was thinking about what I should talk about on my YouTube um, today. And so I thought about it. I was like, well, why not have a pre-trip inspection uh, um, video? I know a lot of other people are doing pre-trip inspection videos as well, but I figured I'd do my own. To each his own. Sometimes we like certain, or we listen to certain people, certain things, and so I figured I would do my own. So with the pre-trip inspection, and this is good for those who are wanting to do, or who are planning on going into the trucking business. This is some good information to know, because the pre-trip inspection, it is a required action, and it needs to be done every day. So I'm going to walk you through a pre-trip inspection that I typically would do with my truck, and this is my truck. And every day this inspection is to be done, and then at the end of each day you are to report the condition of your vehicle. So first thing that you that I normally do when doing the pre-trip is that I take a look at the outside of the vehicle. I take a look at the front, and basically what I'm looking for is I'm looking to see if the truck is leaning to one side or the other, because that is an indication that your suspension or maybe tires are low or something like that. So that just gives you an idea of what to look for, in case you see that. So yeah, you pretty much take a stance in front of it, and you're scanning the whole truck, really. You're looking for any kind of leaning, any kind of body damage that you would see. You normally would start from the top and work your way down the truck and take a look. You're going to be taking a look at your lights, making sure that all the lights are functioning. It is daytime out here, so you might not be able to see my lights too well, but you're looking at your marker lights up at the top. You're looking at the top of the truck to see if there's any kind of major dings, dents, scrapes, anything of that nature. Then you're also looking at your windows. You also want to check to make sure that the windows are clean. Make sure that there's no cracks. Make sure it's not broken anywhere. Check your headlights. Also the same thing. Make sure that the lights are functioning properly. Make sure that your light, none of the light bulbs are broken, busted. Making sure that the lens cover is clear of debris and mostly just bug juice. Making sure that they're clean, not fogged, not cracked, damaged, or missing. Check the hood. You want to check the hood to make sure that it's free of damage and scrapes and all that kind of stuff. Check your grill. Check to make sure it's intact. Everything, the bumper. Make sure your bumper's okay. License plate, things of that nature. Also take a check of your mirrors there, making sure that they are secure to the truck. And you also want to actually check the mirror itself, make sure there's no cracks or missing parts on it. So you want to do this systematically. So once you take a look at the front, I typically start with the driver's side. And so what I'm doing is I'm taking a look at the side here now, taking a look at the mirrors. There again, you're making sure that you physically want to touch the stuff, make sure that it actually is secured to the truck. And you also want to check the mirrors, make sure that they are fully functional. Check your side glass, make sure that it's not missing or cracked or anything like that. Your lights, you want to check to make sure that your lights are good. All your functioning lights, things of that nature. Your running boards here, you want to check to make sure those are secure. Check your tires. Check to make sure that the side wall is good. Checking the side wall. You're also going to check the tread. Now sometimes you're going to get debris in there like this. You can try and get it out of there, but check the tread. Make sure that you do have enough tread there on the drive on the steers, which are your tires that are used for steering. The tread depth on these, you cannot have them. You cannot have the tread depth any lower than 4/30 seconds. Okay, so that's something you got to check with your tire gauge. But you check on the side walls, making sure that there's no big cuts and abrasions and no bubbles and things of that nature. Check your rim, make sure that the rim is free of rust and things of that nature. You also want to check your lug nuts here. Check to make sure that they are secure and that you have all of your lug nuts. Make sure it's secure. And also, you're also going to be checking, checking the hub itself, making sure that there's no leaks. Things of that nature. So you're checking your windshield wipers, which that's what you would have checked with the windshield. You want to check your windshield wipers, make sure that they're free of obstructions, make sure that the blades are good. Things of that nature. So now the next thing is you want to take a look up under the hood. With your trucks, you have your hood latches here, one on each side. Golly, it's hot out here. It's hot. Whew. I'm sitting here baking. Okay. All right, so let's go back and start over here right quick. So we got the hood up. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is check all of your wiring here. Check your wiring and all your hoses. Make sure that they are in good condition. There's no cuts or abrasions. Make sure that they're not flopping all over the place. Everything here is zip tied, so it's not going anywhere. But yeah, make sure that, they're all tied together. It's not all loose and hanging out, things of that nature. Now, one of the things that I've been in the habit of doing, because I used to be an aircraft mechanic. One thing that I was taught was that when you're looking in a certain spot, it's a good rule of thumb to look in the general area around where you're looking at to ensure that nothing else is going on. So as I mentioned before, you're going to be looking at your hoses, your wiring, your connections and stuff like that. So that's your main focus. But while I'm in this area, I'm going to be looking at other things in my visual area. Okay, so not only am I looking at the hoses and wiring, I'm looking at the connectors here. I'm looking around certain systems, things of that nature. I'm looking at the U-joints here for the steering, which I'm going to end up looking at pretty soon anyways. But some of the other things that are not mentioned in the pre-trip inspection, just to cover all bases. You want to make sure that you're looking at all of your hoses, you know, everything in the general area, looking for anything out of place, anything hanging down, looking for any leaks, any place that leaks could possibly happen. So, you know, you're looking there. Okay. So, all right. So now the fluids, you know, you're looking for. Here is your oil dipstick. You're going to be checking your oil dipstick. You can pull that out, check the oil dipstick, make sure that you have the right oil levels. You're also going to be checking your steering fluid reservoir. Make sure that it is at the proper levels. Also, now here is your fuel filter. Sometimes you're not going to have any. You're not going to see too much fuel in there, depending on if it was just on or not. But anyways, you're looking at all the hose connections, looking at everything, looking for leaks. You even look down at the ground right underneath your systems. You're looking for any kind of leaks. That looks like oil from somebody who previously was here in the spot. They say coming from me. Okay, so checking. You also want to check to make sure that all your caps are on tight. Same thing with your steering box, your steering reservoir. Sorry. Also, fluids. Check your this is your coolant reservoir here, and I need to go get this filled up. I need to get it checked too, because I've been having to fill this up quite a bit, so I'm losing coolant somewhere. I know that. So we got that. So we got the steering fluid, we got your coolant, and we got your oil. That's what you're checking out. Okay, so also checking all the hoses, checking all your clamps everywhere. You got them all over the place. This is your air intake hose here. You want to check to make sure that there are no cuts or abrasions in the hose. Also make sure that the clamps are secure. Make sure that everything is secure. Make sure that there's no loose or missing bolts anywhere. Check your fan. You want to check your fan blades. Make sure that your fan blades are good to go. And wherever you can, check your radiator. Make sure that it's not damaged and not leaking. Things of that nature. So there again, checking bolts. And then when we get to the other side, I'll show you the belts and stuff. But you check the belts. Check to make sure that they're not cracked, and loose. You want to give them a tug and make sure that you're not able to pull them, no more than like I think it's like 2/3 of an inch, something like that. So, and here's a better view of the tire, of your steer tires. Now remember, 430 seconds is the lowest that you can legally drive with your tires. So the tread depth, if you can see right there, it's a little out of focus, but that's your tread depth right there. And I still got really good tread depth right there. So I mean, you really have to be pretty much almost bald there to have a problem. Okay, so you're gonna be you're gonna look at your suspension system, which is going to include your shocks. Make sure that all the pieces are there. Make sure it is attached to the frame. Make sure that your bolt is there and that your nuts are there and they are secure. You also want to check on the other end. You want to make sure that your U-bolts are properly secure. You're checking to make sure that your spring leaf suspension here, you're checking to make sure that there are no cracked spring leaves. Okay, and there again, you're going to go back here, check, make sure all the bolts and everything are in place. Also, your steering gear box. You are checking to make sure that all the hoses are connected, all your bolts are there. You don't have any loose, missing, or broken pieces. You're making sure that your steering box is connected to your linkage arm here. You want to make sure that the bolts, or excuse me, your castle nut is in place with cotter key, and also making sure that your linkage here, trailing back here to the steering mechanisms here, making sure that they are all in order. Making sure everything's secure, tight, not loose, missing. Making sure you got a cotter key in here as well. You don't want to lose anything and lose your steering. Also, checking your brakes. Same thing again. You're making sure that there's no leaks, making sure that you have all your pieces, making sure that everything is secure. And you also want to check your brake pads, your brake liners, brake drums. You want to check to make sure that there's no missing parts there, no cracks, nothing of that nature. So you're just looking here. See, there you go again. We got wire harnesses. You're checking to make sure everything is secure, which everything pretty much does look okay on this particular side. So you have your fuse box here. One of the many fuse boxes. Oh, the steering linkage. Like I mentioned before, you'll be checking the steering linkage, making sure that it is secure. Okay. This takes a little bit of time here to go through. Typically it takes about 15 minutes to go and check everything out here, and obviously I have gone over 15 minutes, but that's because I'm trying to explain everything. So there again, you're checking your intake valve. This is your turbo here. Your air intake goes right up to your radiator. You're checking to make sure the clamps are on, checking to make sure there's no damage to the hose, the clamps. Also, check the exhaust system here, making sure that you don't see any soot or anything like that. Let's see here. Also, there you go, checking all the bolts, making sure that you don't see any leaks, checking your hoses, all your connections, as you can see here. Check your air canister, your air tank here, air canister. This is vital to your air system that runs your brakes and everything else on your truck that deals with air. Check your. This is something that I pay special attention to because I had a problem with this before with one of the other trucks that I've had. This one, it doesn't look like I'll see any issues with, but check your hoses. Check all your hoses and everything that goes to your air canister. I'll tell you what had happened with me, where I had ended up losing my air system on my truck because it was a design flaw in the Freightliner, where my steer tire, if I cranked it too hard, what happens is that the steer tire, when it turns inward, it was rubbing up against some of the hoses on the air tank, and what ended up happening was that the particular line that supplies the air to the system, to the rest of the system on the truck, the tire rubbed a hole right into the hose. On the other truck that I had all these different air lines coming, right out here, and so when I made the turn, my tire come inward and just rubbed the hole right into the air line, which caused an air leak, and it effectively locked up my brakes to where I couldn't drive the vehicle. Now that's a safety feature on these trucks that have air brakes. In case the air pressure goes down, the spring locks, the spring brakes engage to where it locks the truck up so you don't have a loose running truck. So on the same side, on the passenger side here, the same thing you're going to do is you're going to check your suspension, your leaf brakes, or excuse me, your leaf suspension, checking, make sure there's no cracks, checking for the U-bolts, making sure that they're in place and secure, checking your checking your oh, I forgot what this is, your strut. And you're also going to check your brakes on this side. So here are your belts. You would do a simple little tug test to ensure that those belts are fine. Also, everywhere that you're looking for anything that's loose, anything that could be missing or out of place. Check your fluids. This is your, what is that? This is the washer fluid. Top it off as needed. Now I'm noticing here on my vehicle, I don't see. You might not be able to see it very well. Maybe you can, but you see that bar right there? Right there. It's heavily caked on with oil, which is concerning to me, because maybe I am leaking oil or something, or whatever that is. I'm leaking some kind of fluid there, and it looks like it's still fresh. Now I don't know if I'm actually leaking something, or if that was done during during some recent maintenance I had done on it. So with that being said, I need to get that looked at. Okay, so that is pretty much everything that we need to do for under the hood that I can think of. Alright, let's go ahead and push this bad boy down. Okay, so once you're done under the hood, go ahead and lock your hood down. Before you do anything else, make sure you lock the hood down. Okay. There we go. So you make sure that your latches are clamped and in place. Alright, so now we just pretty much inspect the outer parts, making sure that your doors are operational. Okay, you want to make sure that the doors work. If you have any side doors, you want to check to make sure that they are securely closed. If you have windows, you want to make sure they're not busted or broken and nothing's, make sure the seal is not coming out, making sure that even when you touch it, nothing's peeling off. Same with the window up there. Do a visual check on every inch of your vehicle here. Your gas tank, you want to check to make sure, and I missed something else here, which I'm gonna go back to. But your gas tank, you want to make sure that the cap is on and it's secured. And then let's see here, go back in here. You also want to bring your kick plate down, and you want to check your batteries. This is the case where your batteries at, so you want to go on there and check, make sure your batteries are connected up. Make sure that everything in there is secure. This is your DEF tank here. Make sure that your cap is on and secure. Alright, so now we are in the back of the cab here. We want to make sure, oops, let's see here, don't want to, alright, there we go. So you want to take a look at, oh boy, this camera's working good here in the low light. You want to check to make sure that your gas tank is properly secured, it's strapped on it. Now also, you have your wires and things like that. Remember, You're looking at everything in the vicinity to make sure that everything is okay. So also, looking at when you're looking at things like the gas tank and things of that nature, you also want to check to make sure that you're not leaking any fuel. And I don't see any evidence of fuel on the ground. So here are this is your air cables. These are the cables that connect to your trailer so that your trailer is supplied with air. So you want to check to make sure that there are no loose connections. You want to check the hoses, make sure that they don't have any abrasions on them, and also you're going to be listening for any audible leaks. So if you hear any hissing or anything like that, whether if it's at the connector or somewhere on the line, you need to get it fixed. Also, here's the power cord. Okay, you want to check the connector. Make sure it is properly connected to the truck. Also check the length of the cable, both your air and your electrical. For your electrical, it cannot have any kind of abrasions, any deep abrasions or cuts. So if you see any of the exposed wiring on the inside, it needs to be replaced. If it's got any significant wear on the casing itself, get it replaced, and also get the cables more secure, because what that is indicating is that at some point during your trip, your cables are hanging too low and they are rubbing up against the tires here, and the tires are going to eat your stuff up. Okay, so now you're going to be checking all of your connectors here for your fin. You're checking for any kind of damage on the back of the cab, checking to make sure that all of your items here are secure. You also want to check to make sure that your utility lights are working. That's part of your lights check, making sure all your lights working. Also check your suspension, your air suspension here for your cab. You want to inspect your line drive here, your shaft. You want to check to make sure that there's no dents, making sure that it is properly maintained, lubed. You also want to check back here as well, making sure nothing is loose or missing. Check your catwalk. You want to check to make sure that it is secure, it's not broken, make sure it's not missing. And check your ladder. Everything you want to make sure it's secure, not missing. You also want to inspect your tractor frame. You want to make sure there's no illegal welds, which means that your frame has no welds in it. If sometimes, now I guess in the past, I guess there's been some repairs or something like that, or something will happen where the frame has actually got cracked, and somebody has actually made a weld spot to weld the pieces back together. That is no good. Your frame should not have any welds, any illegal welds, which means that it should be solid pieces. Okay. Now it's going to be difficult to really check check your fifth wheel and all the components there with the trailer attached, but if you need to or have to, you disconnect your trailer and you take a look at your fifth wheel, which is this hefty piece right here. Typically when you're starting your day, you might have your trailer with you. So, but anyways, you want to check up under your trailer here. You want to check to make sure that your fifth wheel is flush up against the trailer. There's no gaps whatsoever. Okay. You also want to check to make sure that your fifth wheel is properly locked and engaged. So this here's the teeth for the fifth wheel. and they need to make sure that they are actually in the holes here, so that your fifth wheel does not slide back and forth. So there again, you're going to check your airbags. You're going to check everywhere around. You're going to check to make sure there's no cracks, no missing and loose parts, things of that nature. Now, you're also going to check your tires. These are called just your drives, because they provide the power for your truck. So the tire tread depth on these and your tandem tires, which are the tires that are on the trailer, the legal tread, or the minimum tread depth that you can have on these tires is 2 30-seconds. So that'll be pretty shallow there. So these tires are pretty good. They still have a long life ahead of them. But just the same thing as with the steers, you want to check the tread depth. If you can, get rid of as much debris as you can out of your tread. So a lot of times you get rocks that are wedged in there. If you can pop those out, pop them out. But you're also checking to make sure that you don't have any nails or any kind of other debris that could puncture your tires. If you have a puncture, you're gonna have to get that fixed or replaced. You're checking your sidewalls as well. You're checking to make sure that there's no abrasions or any cracks or anything like that, especially having debris in there that punctures it. If you got a puncture on the sidewall, you're gonna have to get that tire replaced no matter what. Okay, so you're also checking the rim, checking it for any cracks. There should be no cracks whatsoever in your rim. There should be no major dents on the tires. It's right here with the tire seals on the rim. You want to make sure that the rim is making contact with the tire, just like you see here, all the way around. Also make sure that all your nuts, your lug nuts are on, and that they are secure. If you see any rust or anything of that nature coming out from under there, you're going to need to get that checked out, because it indicates a problem. Also check to make sure that your wheel hub is on secure. Make sure that there are no leaks of oil. If there's any kind of leaks, you'll typically notice it sitting down here on the bottom part of the rim there. So when you're looking on the outside of these tires, you also want to look in between your tires here. Sometimes you might have debris stuck in here. You also want to check to make sure the sidewalls are fine. If you have debris stuck in here, like say you go to a place where they have large rocks. These places are notorious for having large rocks or debris stuck in between the tires here, and that is potentially dangerous when you get out there on the road and you start rolling. That could get tossed out from in between those tires there because of the centrifugal force. Okay, this metal piece here is called your apron, the trailer apron, and it's typically that sheet of metal right there. You want to take a look at that all around the trailer, the nose end of the trailer. You're checking for any major cracks, making sure, especially along the leading edge here, you want to make sure that it's not separating from the trailer itself. So I'm kind of bouncing around here, but the air hoses and the power cable that I mentioned earlier, this is the other end of it. You want to make sure that you are connected to the right lines. So it's pretty simple. You have blue lines for your service line, and your red line for your emergency air systems, and you want to make sure that they are connected correctly. Red line, which is this right here, red line to the red line, the blue line to the blue line. Okay, and then your electrical for your trailer lights, that goes right there. Also, check to make sure that everything that's attached to this trailer is secure. This is your bill box here. This is where in some locations you might have to put the bills of lading inside the bill box. I'm not. You can't really see that from this side, really, but I'm not too sure what this is right here. But I'm assuming that has to do something with tracking the trailer. This particular device here, that is a light. That's a trailer light, but this light is to indicate to you whether if you have low air on your trailer system. I'll explain more on what that means. A lot of these trailers now, the newer trailers, they have their own self-inflating air system to inflate the tires on your trailers. And so if the tires are low, that light is going to illuminate for you to let you know that your air system for your tires, that your tire pressure is low. And so that will generally stay on until the air and the tires have reached their proposed PSI. Okay, so we're pretty much on the trailer now. So I mean, you're just checking the trailer for any kind of major damage. I mean, a lot of these trailers, they do get beat up. I mean, you're going to see you're going to see scratches, you're going to see dents in the trailer. Typically it's going to be okay, but if it is really bad, have it, take it into your maintenance department, have them check it out. But what you're really looking for is you're making sure that all your rivets are actually in place on the trailer. If you have like 2 or 3, maybe 4 rivets in a certain area, like typically like in this area right here, if you have more than, I'd say if you have more than 2 rivets that are like missing or loose in an area of this magnitude, you might want to get that fixed. That's typically not a legal trailer to have. You also want to check to make sure that you have your reflective DOT tape here, and this has got to be on pretty much on all sides, and it's got to run the length of the trailer, which you see here as I'm panning down. You do see the tape here. Also, if you're like Warner, you have an inspection sticker here. You want to check to make sure that the inspection sticker is still good. So you go down the trailer. Now here's something else that you want to check, is your mud flaps. You want to check to make sure that the mud flaps have their reflectors on there. And you also want to make sure that the mud flap itself is in its whole, in its entirety. And you also want to check to make sure that the mud flaps are secured. Make sure that they're not loose. Make sure that your mud flap itself is not torn. You can't have any tears on your mud flaps. Okay, so now also here again, you want to check your lights. Make sure that your lights are good. And here's something that I typically look at as well, is right up in there. You want to check to make sure that the kingpin, which is the little knob that sticks out of the bottom of the trailer that actually connects to the trailer, to the tractor, that's what keeps the trailer attached to your truck. You want to make sure that kingpin is properly in the fifth wheel there, and you also want to make sure that it is latched. If you see that little metal bar right there, that's the latch that goes around the kingpin to ensure that it is latched in place. So, all right, there we go. Now you also want to take a look at the undercarriage of the trailer. You want to make sure that there's as best as you can tell, that there's no holes in the floor, and that there's nothing coming out from the floor of the trailer. You also want to check the frame, which here is the landing gear. I probably should do that on the other side where it's better light. We'll take care of that later. But here's your crankshaft for the landing gear. You want to make sure that's properly stowed away at all times. If you're getting ready to leave, you want to make sure that your landing gear is up. So this here, what you see right there, that is what is called a trailer skirt. You want to make sure that that trailer skirt is intact. I sometimes give it a kick just to listen to it. If you hear that, that's typically what it sounds like. But you also want to, when I kick it, if I hear something different than that, if I hear something that sounds, I mean, it sounds pretty loose when I kicked on it. But if I hear something different than what I just heard there, then I want to double check that. I'm going to check it anyways, just to ensure that that it is properly connected at every point inside here. Maybe I can get in there and show you here. Also, okay, so you want to check your side lights, your signal lights, side lights. If there are any side markers on there, which there's none on this particular trailer, we just have the signal light there. You want to check to make sure all those lights are properly functioning. So now, okay, so now if you look right across there, what you see over there, that's the other side of the skirt. This is the back side of the skirt, but it's on the passenger side. You want to check to make sure that the skirt is properly attached to that frame. And it's probably a better picture of it right there for you, where you can see the framing of where the skirt is attached. So you want to check both sides. Now up under here, you do want to check to make sure that all your cabling, your hoses and lines and things of that nature are actually they are properly stowed away. They are properly secured. Okay. Here you want to check to make sure that your tandems are actually locked. This is one of 4 of the pins that you want to check to make sure that your tandems are locked. Typically, when you're out here with loads and you're preparing for loads, you have the ability with these particular trailers to slide your tandems. So pretty much these wheels here are your tandems. This is a whole frame set here, and the trailer pretty much sits on the rails here, which is attached to the tandem system here. So when you want to slide your tandems either forward or backwards, this is the handle that will do that. You pull this handle out, and these pins will retract. This will allow you to slide the trailer either backwards or forwards over the top of your tandem tires. So, and this is your tandem stop bar here, but you want to check to make sure that's intact. You want to check to make sure that you don't have any cracks on the rails, on any part of the frames. There again, you're checking your tires again. These are your tandem tires. You're checking for debris, checking for tire tread depth, and you're looking for any punctures, any scratches. Same thing with the wheel hubs and things of that nature, what we did before with the other tires. Now, when I was telling you about that light on the front of the trailer, it's in regards to your your air system pressure. Some of these, a lot of these trailers nowadays are coming out with an automatic air pressure or air gauge, or I forget what it's called, but typically And you got an air line that's attached to them. It's attached to the air system, and you have a system that monitors the air pressure inside your tires, and the pressure is monitored, and the system will continuously keep air in the tires. When the trailer is connected to your tractor, it will continually monitor your air pressure in the tires, and if the tire pressure does go below the set point, the air from your tractor, the air system will actually inflate air into the tires to constantly keep them at the proper PSI. So this is your air lines that actually connect to the inside of the tire. And like I said, when that light comes on, that light is coming on because it's letting you know that your tire pressure is low. Okay. Okay, so same thing. You want to check your inside of your tires here, make sure there's no debris, things of that nature. You're checking your mud flaps back here. Checking the mud flaps to make sure, that